Hello, how you doing? And welcome back to the channel. One game down, 3 to go. The first game of Super Saturday on the finale of the Six Nations is over. Scotland 26, Italy 14 at the final score up in Murrayfield. And in my opinion, another opportunity missed for the Italians. Although actually overall, I think Scotland deserved the victory, as 4 tries to 1 kind of shows. So I'm going to review the game in this video. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. And also drop a comment down below. What did you make of the game? But also, now that this is the end of the Six Nations for these two teams, what do you make of them overall, particularly heading into the World Cup? All right, let's get into it. So my main takeaway from this game actually is that every time Italy look like they're getting themselves in a position to win a game, and I think this was the same against Wales, every time they get themselves in a position to score or something like that, they find a way of messing it up. And that's my frustration with Italy at the moment. I think there are signs of real positivity for them, but once again, they are finishing a Six Nations having lost all their game. And I think in particular, the last 2 weeks in games against Wales and today against Scotland, they've had opportunities and they've had a complete lack of composure to finish off those opportunities. And that's ultimately why they have lost, and that's ultimately what has cost them. So that's kind of my general views on Italy. I will start with Scotland though, just because I generally feel like it's kind of right to in these videos for the most part. Start with the winning team. Scotland, I think in this Six Nations have proven that they are the best of the rest, haven't they? I know today was actually a pretty tight game in the end, and a lot of people will feel that had Italy been more composed and a little bit more efficient, then Scotland would have ended up losing this game. It could have been a very different conversation we were having if that was the case. But ultimately, Scotland have beaten Wales, they've beaten England, and they've beaten Italy, and they've come up short against France and against Ireland. And that's where they are at the moment, right? I think at the moment, that is a reflection of this Scotland team. They are improving, they play some really good rugby, but they're not quite there to trouble the best teams in the world at this moment in time. First of all, I want to give a shout out, give a mention to Duhan van der Merwe, because his finish in the first half was utterly sensational. Question for you, and you can put your comments down below what you think of this. Where does he rank at the moment in terms of the best wingers in the world? Because he's involved in that conversation. It's completely subjective. I understand that. But that finish was outstanding. We've seen kind of the full box of tricks from Van der Merwe, I think, this Six Nations. If you think about the solo score he got against England, that try was absolutely sensational, brushing off tacklers. Then we've seen his finishing ability here today. What he can do with ball in hand is frightening, really. I think he is a winger that probably gets into most teams in the world at the moment. So Van der Merwe, absolutely sensational. But once again, I think for Scotland, the interesting thing for them this Six Nations is in games against England and against Wales, they didn't have heaps of opportunities, but when they did get them, they took them. Their red zone efficiency was actually very, very good. Their red zone efficiency against Ireland and against France, okay, it's better opposition, but that was actually quite poor. Now, interestingly, this Italian game, I know that they scored 4 tries, Italy only scored 1, but actually Scotland's red zone efficiency, again, wasn't all that great in this game. So I think that is the area when Scotland are on song, they take the opportunities, but those games which are either tighter or they're on the wrong side of in terms of the result are the ones at this moment in time that their red zone efficiency just isn't quite as good. I think that will be a concern. I know it improved a little bit as the game went on, but especially kind of 25 minutes into the game, Scotland had had a lot of ball in the Italian 22 without necessarily being able to take those chances. But the positives for Scotland, I think, by far outweigh the negatives. Their defence, I think, is much improved, particularly you look towards the end of that game where Italy were really starting to put pressure on them. The sort of game where in years past, I think we could have seen Scotland potentially crack. They didn't, they held firm. I think their defence overall is looking pretty strong this Six Nations. And also I just thought the depth of their squad looked better. When you've got someone like Jack Dempsey, who I think won man of the match, starting at number 8, being replaced by Matt Fagerson, who we know how good he is. Ben White at scrum half, I think, has been excellent this Six Nations as the starting 9, but then they've got Ali Price in a British and Irish Lion coming off the bench as well. So I think there are positives in terms of the overall depth of this Scotland team and where they're going. I guess the question now is, for Scotland fans, the Six Nations is over. Next stop is France and the World Cup. Does Scotland have enough improvement in them to be able to beat the best sides? Because they're unfortunate because of the side of the draw they're on, in a group with Ireland and South Africa. Are they going to have what it takes to get out of that group? And at this moment in time, I just fear that there's not going to be enough improvement within that Scotland squad to be able to beat the very best sides. If they were on the other side of the draw, if they were in England and Wales's side, then I'll be thinking quarterfinals easily doable here. Then who knows, maybe they get to a semi-final. I think the future would be a lot more positive. So as I say, in a sense, I feel sorry for Scotland because of just how ridiculously early that World Cup draw took place. But do they have enough improvement in them at this moment in time to challenge the best sides in the world? For me, that is the best question, the biggest question mark over Scotland. Let's move on to Italy. I said last week when they lost to Wales that they messed it up, that it was a missed opportunity. This game was a little bit different because actually for 60, probably best part of 60 minutes before they scored that Tommy Allen try, I was kind of watching it and just thinking Italy's attack didn't look anywhere near as dynamic, anywhere near as threatening as it has done in the opening few rounds of the Six Nations. And I didn't think they were going to win the game, but they somehow got themselves that try, and then the whole momentum changed and it looked like they were going to do it. And it was kind of weird because the moment they looked like they were going to do something was the moment they then messed it up. They had the turnover in the 22 late on in the game, then try and pop it off the floor immediately. Ali Price intercepts, Scotland go at the other end, Italy end up getting the ball back, but that opportunity had gone. They then had penalty advantage right near the end of the game, and the 9 tried to do a little snipe himself, a really overly ambitious dive for the line, knocked the ball on. Italy had penalty advantage, but they then ended up wasting those opportunities as well. There was a lack of accuracy to Italy that at this moment in time, I personally just find so frustrating, because I know from a Scotland point of view, they'd have hated to lose to Italy. In terms of the Six Nations, it would have been such a positive thing overall for the second year in a row, Italy to have at least got one scalp, but we're back with them losing all 5 games. So that's kind of part of my frustration with the Italy, the lack of accuracy and how they were out of the game for long periods. They actually did well to drag themselves back into it, so I give them credit there. Also, just one final thought on Italy was watching their defence a number of times, particularly just before Kinghorn's second try. I thought there were a number of opportunities for them to actually try and hold Scotland up over the line. They kept pushing Scotland back, the defence right on their try line. And I wonder whether the players just haven't quite got programmed enough yet. Defensively, when you're under that much pressure close to your own line, you're almost better off trying to drag the opponents over and holding them up and getting the goal line dropout. That was a really minor point, but just something that sprung to mind for me really in terms of Italy. So Italy, we all want to see them be better. Overall, this Six Nations, I have been left frustrated by them because I think they're good enough to win. I think they're good enough to trouble Wales more and possibly get a result at home. I think they're good enough to take those opportunities right at the end of the game. And they just haven't been. And that's such a shame, really. So Italy, where do they go from here? We'll wait and see. I really hope they keep improving. The fact that their under-20s over a number of years now have been a lot more competitive gives me an awful lot of hope. But I just want that little bit more. That's where I am with Italy at the moment. Drop a comment down below. Do you think I'm being harsh on the Italians? I think you can probably understand where I'm coming from in terms of my analysis. But is it ultimately, in terms of the player pool, it's the smallest and probably weakest in the Six Nations. The fact that they are already getting to this level is a really positive sign. Maybe we just need to embrace that. So drop a comment down below, like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. And as always, got 2 more games to go. So by the time a lot of you watch this video, they might already be out and doing games across all of Super Saturday. So I'll see you in the next one.